Did you know that we have been brought up and educated to believe that we need to search for something from the outside, the external world, to make us better? Ever since a young age, when we get ill, our parents will go to medicine. We'll grab the cowpole and we'll give our kids this medicine to make our kids better, and not trusting in our own body. The pharmaceutical industry over the last, let's say, 70 to 80 years has really manipulated and changed the way that we look at health. The Eastern traditions, and still to this day we look at Eastern medicine, that was the original medicine. Plant medicine, herbs, spices, that's been around for years. And I want you to start really thinking about us as human beings. We are all so different. We are all unique. We all have our own things going on inside our body, and you cannot put two people in the same category. Think about the plant medicine and Eastern traditions when we're playing around with different spices and herbs and supplements to change us. It's personalized to each person. If there's a slight imbalance, if we looked at epigenetics, for example, epigenetics pulls a cell out of the human body and we can determine what is going on from the body, and we can change that using our environment from the internal and external. So we can make significant changes to the way that we think about things, which will change the way our body is inside. If we're lacking on certain things, these supplements, this medicine will help us change. So each person is individual, so each diagnosis needs to be individualized. Now think about what's happened since we've been in this world. There's these pharmaceutical drugs that have been put out there. Let's take aspirin, for example. Aspirin, we know, is to help with a headache, to thin the blood. But aspirin for one person is going to have a completely different effect to someone else. When we look at medicine as well, we talk about, oh, there's no science, or there's a lot of science. Science is based on mass data, mass people. But again, you can't categorically put the same people in the same bracket, because you'll look at a study that looks at 30, 35-year-olds. But that's all it looks at, 35, white, lives in America. Let's say that that's the criteria. But looking at each one of these 35-year-olds, if you was to say, right, that person has 4 kids, they don't sleep well, they got a stressful job, their food's really poor, they don't exercise, versus another 35-year-old that is very healthy, has been training all their life, they eat very clean, and they're really focused on their nutrition, they sleep 8 hours without fail every single night. Can you see how they're two different? These people will need different things. So to label one drug, which is mass produced with money, to then be given across the board, it doesn't work. And if you look at the pharmaceutical industry, it's owned by big corporations. And also the media and the governments are all involved with the same thing. So we're all pushing out these drugs, but they're made just over mass. Certain people have individual issues that if we're taking this stuff, it's going to have a negative. And why do you think we get side effects? Because each person reacts to it differently. Side effects is not, it shouldn't be called side effects. That's what happens when you have these drugs. There's been a number of cases where people do get headaches, people do die, people do get sick. That's not a side effect. The other thing, when we look at Eastern tradition medicine, plant medicine, we call it alternative medicine. It's not alternative, it's suggesting that the pharmaceutical industry is truth. Before that, we've been using Eastern medicine for years. We've been using plants and herbs, and we've now labelled it alternative as if it's not the place to go. There's loads of healers, there's loads of people that work with this medicine all over the world, but yet we don't hear about them. They're not mainstream, so then we don't trust in it. But guys, if you took the time to actually research and look at the science, there is millions of scientific papers on all these medicines, on all the things that we've been told about for healing for years, but we don't do it. Yoga, meditation, They're forms of healing. They get us into flow. They get us out of our head. They get us present. When we're present and when we're in flow, our body's in harmony. If we started trusting that we, as human beings, our bodies are a miracle. Our body does work for us. Our body does get ill, but that's because we're out of balance somewhere. And when we're ill, something needs to change. The change doesn't then have to go to the pharmaceutical industry to get some drugs, because we're now relying on them and their words and what they say for us to accept that that's going to heal us on the inside. What we really need to start paying attention to is how our body feels. We can pay attention to how our body's reacting, our energy, our health. We can pay attention to this and know that if we change it, and if we knew how to, and again, these experts will be able to tell you, using all these extra Eastern medicines, like we can trust in our own intuition, we can trust in our own body to work the magic. So there's a fine line as well, like the medicine, the pharmaceutical industry, they call it the heroic drugs. So when there are accidents and we need an emergency operation, we need something to happen right then and there. Yes, I'm all for that. That's been researched a lot. But we don't need to have this in our day-to-day lives. We don't need to have these pills every single day and being told you're going to be on for the rest of your life. If you've been told that and you believe that and accept that, yeah, you will be on it for the rest of your life. But that one thing that you're taking will lead to something else, and it will lead to something else. And I've worked with clients that are on 34 tablets per day with all these different things. They don't know what each of them do. They don't realise that they all impact the body somewhere. If it fixes the symptoms at that point, it doesn't fix the actual cause of it. So I'm encouraging people now is to check in with their body, check in with their beliefs, and know that you can heal anything. What we need to do is pay attention to what needs to be healed, what needs to change, and then take action. And if we can start doing that more, we can stop depending on the external world for help in terms of health, but also for every other thing that we do. Our decisions, we're always relying on someone else to give us that confirmation. And half the time we don't always get that from our loved ones, and it stops us moving forward. But if we just trusted in ourselves a lot more and trusted in our intuition, we would be able to make these decisions and be okay with them and know that they can change, we can adapt. But that's life, and it's taking the matter into our own hands. If you're not sure of how to do this, then start searching for people that do this. There's millions of people all over the internet that love what they do, they love helping, they love healing, and combined with your beliefs and you taking action, you're going to set yourself up for success. We're going to get yourself off of all these antidepressants, all these drugs that keep us in this trap for life, which cost money, which is taxing on our body, which pulls us away again from our body working naturally.